Hey guys, what's up? So we're going to install Ngrok, and if you're not familiar with Ngrok, it's been around since 2013 or around that time, and it's a good way to share like your local host. And here's the website, ngrok.com, and they do a fairly good explanation of what it does. This is actually pretty solid here if you follow this, and it's nice because you can like put your local host on the internet. So let's get that set up. So we're going to set this up for the MacBook using Terminal. So make sure you have your terminal open. And we're going to use Homebrew to install this. So make sure brew is working, and it'll be brew install Ngrok. Yeah, that's right. There's actually 3 Ngroks, and there's a reason for that, but that's the actual command. Now I've already went ahead and installed this, so you can just hit enter and go ahead and install that. Now, once it's installed, you can double check by just typing in Ngrok, just a command like this. Okay. And when it is installed, you'll see that you have a list of commands that are available, authored by Ngrok. So once that's done, the other thing you're going to need is you're going to need to set up an actual account. So once again, you're going to have to jump over to the browser, head to sign up. So just follow the instructions and sign up. And once you're done, you'll be able to access the dashboard. The other option is once you're in the dashboard, if you don't want to do it through the terminal, you can go here and click download, and you can download the binary. So depending on what you're using, so if it's Mac Intel, you'll want the first one. If it's the ARM or Silicon chipset, you'll definitely want this one. And Windows has their own according install as well. And the same applies for Linux. So we're not going to take this approach here. We're not going to go and download the zip file, and then we're not going to extract it using this command, but you can follow these instructions as well. Next up, the most important thing that you're going to want to have is to have your token. So we're going to use this command here, and it's ngrok config add auth token, and then you're going to have your token. Now mine is actually covered up and you can't see that, but there will be a string of characters that will be your token. Once that's done, we're going to fire it up, and you have a few other commands here, ngrok help for any support on running commands on the command line. It's the same as typing in Ngrok, and then we're going to fire up Ngrok using HTTP port. And then we're going to show you how to hook that up with Valet. So back over to our terminal, and if you were to type in Ngrok help, you would see that it's exactly the same as just typing in Ngrok. So next up, we're going to add our auth token. So to do that, we're going to type in this command. It's going to be ngrok config add token. And see where it says token here within these chevrons or brackets? It's going to be the actual token that you need when you sign in for your account. So let's just jump back over to the browser. So it'll be the token in this area where it says connect your account. You'll have the token, and you'll have to paste that in here in place of the actual token value. So once that's all done, we can actually start a tunnel, and it's going to be like Ngrok, and it's going to be HTTP, and we're going to pick port 80. So as you can see, we've started a tunnel over here. So what does that actually mean? And notice that there's 2 different versions of the account. So I'm on the free plan here, but you can also get the paid version of that plan. And that has a little bit more features and more integrations and a bunch of things that actually are pretty useful when you're using Ngrok. But for now, just for this demonstration, I'm going to start with the free program. So we have our region, latency, and this URL is where we're going to have our web interface. So if I was to just copy this URL, jump back out into a browser, this will actually show the web interface, and you'll have a link here, which we have no activity going on right now. We know that we're online. We can inspect, check our status, and jump over to the documentation. If we were to click this link, you would see that it attaches itself to Valet. So Valet is what I'm using locally to actually serve up my sites, and it says Valet not found, which means that we haven't actually turned Valet on into sharing some kind of project or something via Ngrok. So the next thing to take care of would be to get Valet to share one of our local projects. All right, so I'm going to jump back over to the terminal. And as you can see, because we went out into the web interface, it starts, making HTTP requests and tracking those. So we're going to close this. And the way you do that is hitting Control-C. So right here is where I would make a new application that I want to share with Valet. So if you're following along with Laravel and the rest of the stuff on this channel, you can create a new Laravel project. And you can do that by just typing in the Laravel new command. Laravel 10 is what I'm going to call this one because it's a Laravel 10 project. So once your application's installed, you can do a PHP artisan serve. In our case, Valet is already doing this for us. So we're just going to jump to our browser, type in our project name and our TLD. So now that we know Valet is working and it is actually serving up our Laravel project. Now, how do we share this? Well, let's jump back to terminal, and we're going to type in Valet. So if you don't have this step, guys, just be sure to check into the Valet tutorials and how to install and set up Valet in this case. So the command for this is Valet share. Now I didn't cover this command in the rest of the tutorials that we did because I wanted to cover Ngrok first. Now that we have Ngrok installed and we also have our token added from our command console, we should be able to type in Valet share. As you can see, it opened up the same terminal interface as we seen when we typed in Ngrok HTTP and 80 for the port. But in this case, Valet is handling it. Notice that this is also exactly the same. So if we were to go back out into our browser, we can gather a bunch of information. We have the raw data with some binaries, And as I interact with that page on a device, if I'm connected to a device using that URL, you'll see that this information will populate and change. And over here where we had, valet had failed, if we were to refresh, we now have this tunnel that's being shared. But notice that there's an error here, and it says that this tunnel has not been found. So let's see if we can remedy that. So what I've done over here is I've actually just went into my local device here on my phone, and I've copied this URL over here, and I pasted it into my device. And now it's basically forwarding it to my local environment or my local box on port 80 using Valet. And we still have this error. So sometimes what I found was when I'm using Ngrok, I'm going to stop this for a moment. So we're going to do the Control-C and we're going to close Valet share. And we're going to go back to check out this error. So we have here this, it's basically like saying that there's not a connection. So we could do two things. We could run the ngrok diagnose command and it'll check to see if there's any connectivity issues. The other thing that they recommend if you run into this error, and it's kind of odd because even though I'm running into this error, the thing is actually working. We could do a restart. So we could restart the agent. So we could say Valet and we could stop it. And this will stop all services and shut down PHP and Nginx. And then we can do a Valet start again. And then all of our services should be restarted. And we can run Valet share one more time. Now that we jump back to our terminal, you'll actually see that it's still running. And I'm using, this is the slightly different variation in the Ngrok URL. What happened is because we're on the free plan, it looks like you can only run one instance of the tunnel. I have another account that is actually not a free plan and I was able to run multiple instances. So when you are using the free plan and you don't have a paid subscription to Ngrok, you will run into that error. So now that we got that resolved, I want to show you another alternative instead of Ngrok that you guys can use. It is a paid model as well, but it's a one-time paid model versus Ngrok. I believe if you jump back over here to the browser, depending on what you go for, it looks like if you're paying for the personal version or you're going for the pro or enterprise version, this is what happens. So if you don't have a subscription to Ngrok, the service that we set up over here, then you're going to have to only limit yourself to one domain, one connection, or one URL. Okay, so now I'm going to show you this alternate service that we can check out, okay? Okay, so the next alternative we're going to look at is Expose. So this one kind of does the exact same thing as Ngrok, has different payment plans and different things, but it's like a one-time, like 1 year subscription and then you're done, depending on what you want to do. So this is set up kind of via Composer. So let's take a look at that. So by typing in Composer, you should be able to see that it is up and running. If you're not sure how to do that, do check out the lessons on the channel around Composer. Now the command that you're going to use for this one is going to be Composer global require beyond code expose. So that will get that installed. I've already installed it, so I'm not going to run this. And just like Ngrok, we're going to have to add a token. So it'll be expose token. And where you get that token is when you sign up. You would log in, create an account, and then you'd grab your token. So it'll be expose and the token. You grab this one, and that's all you would need. And we'll just jump back to terminal. So the nice thing about this one, you just have to type in expose, and expose will do exactly the same as Ngrok HTTP and then the port. So looks like I need an update for this one, but this is what you're going to be using. You'll have your shared URL, which is provided by, in our case, it's going to be Valet. You have your dashboard once again, and notice that it's using the same 4040, the same port. So you wouldn't be running Ngrok and expose at the same time. So if we jump over to our browser, we'll see that this is what it looks like for expose. So localhost 4040. And the nice thing about this is that the device has a camera. You can just scan this QR code and automatically connect. So it saves you the time of typing in that really long, URL. Or you could do the same here. It's actually a little bit cleaner and it doesn't have the actual consistent IP modified by that, first few initial strings. So I went ahead and scanned the QR code and I'm now running this on my phone. So you guys can see over here on the right, this is running the same Laravel 10 project that was ran in Ngrok, but now we're using expose instead of Ngrok. So let's just update this real quickly, and that's expose, and I believe it's just global. Actually, it's not in this case. I think it's just self update. And it will check for a new version and then update accordingly. So if you ever run into that message at the top there, that's how you do an update. Okay, that's a wrap for this one. Thanks for watching. Take care.